Hey everyone, welcome to the Reddit branch. Today we have interesting stories from Reddit that I would love to hear your opinion about. So feel free to let me know what you think down in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for content like this every day. These stories are titled Gotta Love HOA, which is Homeowner Associations. First one is the Christmas Light Shenanigans Edition. This is about an incident that occurred over Christmas 2020. The HOA that surrounds my family farmland has a low decorative wall along the public roadway. For Christmas, they put up white Christmas lights that do not blink. My wife purchased some high-tech Christmas lights and put them up on our wall, only along the roadway. And they were also non-blinking white lights. The HOA seemed happy and we heard nothing from them about our lights. Until Christmas Eve. Just as the sun went down, my wife turned on the Christmas lights and adjusted the remote controller, and to my surprise the lights switched from simple non-blinking white light and became multicolored. Reds, blues, greens, yellows and whites. And they were blinking. Oh, how this set the HOA off. By 9 p.m., the HOA's president started calling and demanding we take down our lights and put the white lights back up to keep the image of the road the same. These calls continued every hour or half hour until after midnight when I simply turned off the phone. My wife did put it back to all white non-blinking light in the morning on Christmas Day. But she's enjoying switching the colored blinking lights on for an hour each night. How big the fine will be for this is not yet known, but thankfully we are still not part of this HOA. It's all kind of petty, but my wife is enjoying herself. She calls it payback. Today all lights are to be one color and then fade to another color, and once an hour they are supposed to blink for 10 minutes in some pattern she set up. Now onto what happened on New Year's Eve. Hopefully everyone has popcorn made. On New Year's Eve, my wife sent the kids to visit friends and she went to work. I did not know how many lights she had. Prior to New Year's, she had lights strung on our wall facing toward the house. Now she moved everything over the wall into the street side. Further, she added lights onto the decorative gate we have across the driveway. There were some boxes brought out and placed behind the wall. Oh, and she relocated several pieces of farm equipment right behind the wall. Along with pallets, trails, and the pickup trucks, what is she doing, I wondered. Darkness sets in, the HOA's white lights come on, my wife keeps ours off. At 8 p.m., there are neighbors walking along the road and across the road, along the HOA's wall, just waiting to see what will happen. At 9 p.m., I get a call from the HOA president asking what we are doing and telling me how unsafe it is to have so many people gathered along the road. At 10 p.m., my wife has still not turned on the lights. However, at 10:15 p.m., she goes out with the ATV and stops along the wall in a couple places, and about 10:30 p.m., the non-blinking white lights come on. Until 11:30 p.m., the lights slowly fade to black, taking about 5 minutes. As the countdown to midnight starts, the lights flash on and off. At midnight, a massive light show takes place. Now there are lights that seem to run the entire wall. Picture a wave at a sporting event. But along the road, the most spectacular show takes place. She has been working for days to get all this done. Yes, there were some fireworks, but not as many as most would like. Now at the time, I was not aware that my wife had everything linked to Christmas and New Year's music, which could be heard if you tuned into a particular FM station. And my wife has even added some messages praising the HOA and saying how none of this show would have been possible without the HOA's support. There was so much more. The gate to our driveway opened and closed by itself, and lights came on flashing away on the gates and archway overhead. Several trees were decorated with lights. Inflatables started popping up. Santa, his sleigh and reindeer, Frosty the snowman, elves everywhere. Father Time appeared near the driveway. An 8-feet-high Grinch inflates facing the HOA's main entrance, and my phone started ringing. I wonder who that can be. Mr. HOA president said he was calling the police to report us. Yes, he did. Now my wife is smart. She researched what she could do and what she could not do, and she stayed within the law. And she had informed law enforcement of her plans and to expect the HOA president to call. And for safety, a deputy had driven past our home several times during the evening. At about 1:45 a.m., every light she put up started flashing in so many colors. Faster and faster these lights flashed, until at 2 a.m., everything went dark. And after 5 minutes, the non-blinking white lights slowly faded back on, and they stayed on like that until sunrise. I found out that the final message in the FM site was my wife's voice telling everyone listening to thank the HOA for this wonderful show. I love my wife and her craziness. I so wish I had thought about doing all this. Up next we have HOA Shenanigans and I meet a Karen at Harley Davidson. Since the shenanigans my wife chose to perpetuate on New Year's Eve, things have been really quiet. My attorney has been talking with the HOA and its lawyers, so really there is nothing to report at this time. However, my wife and I decided that this was the time to buy a pair of motorcycles. Both of us have been licensed, but up until now, we have not been actively riding for several years. Today, I went to my local Harley Davidson dealership to look at and discuss the purchase. Now I am in a full suit and tie and look nothing at all like an employee. I have been speaking with a salesperson, and while she was looking for a bike I wanted and was speaking on the phone with my wife about what she may want, I was browsing the clothing. This is when I was approached by a 40-something lady. Excuse me, do you have this in XL? I replied to her that I do not work here, but the ladies by the registers could likely help you. She did not want to talk to them. She was buying a gift for her son, or maybe grandson, and she wanted to deal with the manager only. I explained that I do not work here, that I'm just here to make a purchase. She was about to rebut me when the salesperson came up and informed me that she was able to find the bike I am interested in, that she can have it here by this weekend, and that she has a bike my wife may like in stock, and would I be interested in taking it home for her to try. This seemed to deflate the Karen as she realized that maybe I actually did not work there. Now the final update. After my wife and I purchased a pair of motorcycles, we expected to receive a significant number of letters from the HOA's president. However, that did not happen. I was out by the main road doing some cleaning and landscaping when the vice president of the HOA stopped and apologized for everything that has happened. Turns out the president contracted COVID-19 and due to some health issues he passed away. The president had been informing the rest of the board of directors that a deal for purchase of my property was in the works. As of now, the HOA is changing and I am hopeful that all these issues are behind me. People have requested the pastor to write another story about the HOA and they agreed. As requested, here is another HOA story. This is from a few years ago in Florida. The rehash: my great-grandfather purchased 3,000 acres in Florida in the 1800s. It has been in the family and a working farm ever since. After my father passed, the land was divided between my brother and sister and me. My brother and sister sold their portions to a development company, and at the same time, I purchased the neighboring 850 acres. On to the story. After the development company built up the area with single-family home, they transferred control to a new HOA, which became officially registered in 2016. It was at this time that unstamped letters began appearing in my mailbox. The first was an introduction of the new HOA and included about a 20-page CCR that was essentially a contract and had so many rules and regulations. Since my family land predates the HOA by well over 120 years, I am not asked to join any such group. So I ignore the letters and start marking them return to sender. Now this alerts my postal carrier, who questions who put unstamped mail in the mailbox. And he took those letters and went to have a conversation with the HOA about illegal use of the mailbox. Now while this is a farm, I was not using it fully, but instead I had at the time about a dozen rescue animals as well as 3-quarter horses. I arrived home to find a pair of cars at the entrance of my driveway, blocking my access. My driveway is almost 1/4 mile long, so I parked and walked. At my house, I found my wife arguing with 3 people, 2 men and a woman, who are demanding to be allowed the rights to search my property inside and out. After a quick briefing, I inform my trespassers of their violations. I then give them 10 minutes to get off my property and move their cars before I tow and impound them. These self-rigorous individuals were not budging, so I walked to one of my barns and stirred up something inside. and back out with an older model Holmes tow truck and start packing down the driveway. These three ran to get into their cars and were gone before I got to the end of the driveway. Now this would be nice if it ended there, but then it would not be much of a story. I started receiving fines. Yes, in the mail, and unstamped. Actually had to get the local postmaster involved. Illegal use of the mail system, and mailboxes are a part of that, are a federal crime. I even got a fine for calling the postmaster on them. The HOA had to pay a $10,000 fine for unauthorized use of the USPS system. Fast forward about 6 months, and my wife notices that there is a lien on the house and property. This is where I contacted a property rights attorney, who immediately filed with the local government and finance agencies our dispute to the legality of this lien. It took a couple months, but the lien was dismissed when the originator failed to show up to a hearing. But it does not end here. Oh no, it does not. I received a large packet that came with certified mail detailing all the fines I have incurred since the HOA came into existence, and they demanded immediate payment. Included in this was a $500 fine for not signing the CC&Rs, $1,000 fine for not allowing board members access to search my property, $10,000 fine for repayment of fines the HOA had to pay for the HOA breaking federal law, and the list goes on and on. My attorney laughed and sent a cease and desist letter as well as a demand that all further correspondence must be direct to her office. That lasted about 6 months, until my wife again noticed a new lien on the property. What the hell, I thought. So back to my attorney, more laughing. Turns out, the HOA put a lien on the land I purchased, which is still separate from the family land, and so we repeat the steps above. During this time, while my wife was in hospital for delivery of our second child, and everyone was there to support her, the HOA trespassed again and started searching through my property, including the barns, garage, and outbuildings. They even tried towing several vehicles that I had on the land that were not licensed. Yeah, they are for farm use. Picture a rusty old pickup used to haul hay and feed. An old car with no doors we used to check out the field and search for animals. Now they were caught in the act by the local sheriff's deputy who was just doing a drive-by. No one was arrested and I chose not to press charges. However, this made the HOA mad, and another large packet arrived with more fines, on top of all the previous fines. Another trip to my attorney, more laughing, and this time she contacts the country clerk's office and manages to stop another lien that was in the process of being posted. This time, in order to post the lien, the HOA would need to show up at a hearing and explain. Yep, they did not show and lien vanished. Now, just a reminder that this is Florida. My family and property are not part of any HOA. Hope everyone enjoyed. This concludes all the stories we have for this video. Thank you so much for watching and I hope you enjoyed it. Please feel free to share your opinions in the comment section down below. Until next time.